Oh, we're recording. Hi, Paige.
Hey,
Hey, it's David and Paige with
daring deeply.
Daring Deeply for another episode of our podcast.
Hmm.
Recording here it just happens to be a very peaceful, rainy, replenishing Wednesday. So
Hmm.
wherever you may be listening or watching this, welcome to the Daring Deeply podcast with Paige Stuart and David Lee. How are you feeling? How's it going? What's going
I'm feeling
on?
good, and I
Mhm.
agree. It is super peaceful here today. It's very revitalizing, very renewing. It's a very renewing rain.
So we have renewing, we have revitalizing. Come on. Threes,
Refresh,
it's a magical number. Refreshing.
refreshing,
I knew we were going to get a third word in there. So
releasing.
beautiful.
There's a fourth
Okay. All
bonus.
right. Here we
We
go.
could
Yeah.
we could be here for days. We love
We could be
words.
here for days. We do love words. We do love words. An important part. Language is super important in
Mm.
our working with clients. So welcome again for the third time. Welcome to the Daring Deeply podcast. And we were inspired to have a conversation today about the expression of emotion. And what spawned that conversation, the initial conversation last evening, and inspired us to get onto the podcast and share this with you all, is well, let's just say what it is. We were watching American Idol, so we're American Idol fans.
My
And for
favorite.
those of yeah, it's Paige's favorite. It's my favorite, and it goes back 20 years. So I remember,
Mhm.
wow, it's been on a long time, and
Long time.
Paige and I really enjoy it because it's incredibly emotional. And so there was some really powerfully emotional moments yesterday, last night as we were watching this, and I'll kind of let you tell this a little bit, Paige, but I'll kind of set it up here. Is you made the indication that you said, hey, I really wanted to cry. I really wanted to cry during that. I really wanted to feel that range of emotion with tears at that particular moment of the show. And what did I say? I said something to the effect of, well, what did I say?
I don't know what you said in that particular moment, um, but I was expressing how sometimes when I want to cry and release, and I know that I need to cry, like I will often write in my journal, like, what do I need right now? Oh, I think I just need a really good cry. But then, like, I can't for
Mm,
some reason. Like I
mhm,
can't move myself to express that particular emotion, and it becomes a challenge to me. And I think that that's the lens we were applying when we were experiencing perhaps a similar instance last night while watching American Idol.
mhm. Yeah,
And then our conversation just kind of continued and was powerful. And that's what
mhm.
we're jumping on today to
Absolutely.
unpack.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, what I remember now, I recall, I said, well, the expression of emotion, of all emotions, is important. And so often, and I think I made the comment to say, well, expressing it through laughter, expressing it through tears, expressing it through anger, expressing it through, all these different times. And you indicated, you mean I get to laugh and replace the tears? And not necessarily, but it really evoked a powerful conversation in how so often what we are told, what we have been programmed to receive and accept, is that emotions are only okay in certain circumstances, scenarios, environments, times, where for whatever reason, and I think you even made the comment, like, who makes these rules? Who makes these rules about when we can express certain emotions? For example, you and I, here it is, and this may be listened to much in the future, but tomorrow happens to be opening day in the world of Major League Baseball. And Paige and I are attending opening day in St. Louis. And as I was expressing last night, it's amazing, isn't it, that we get to express a certain amount of emotion at a baseball game or a football game or a soccer game, a sporting event where we can literally lose our minds and scream and yell and say things that we not necessarily are going to say in church or at a funeral or at a family dinner. And we were having this conversation is, why is that? Who made up those rules to where we can't talk in the library?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't we talk in the library? I've always had this. And I was also expressing too, it's super important to understand that emotions, all of them, are absolutely welcome. And yet we've been taught that certain emotions are okay and not okay. Typically, and boy, and again, in our timestamp, this is relatively recent since the Oscar event with Will Smith and Chris Rock. And so much expression and so much opinion has been expressed about how Will Smith expressed his emotion, right? And if it was right, if it was wrong, if it was justified. And even the amount of conversation that has taken place because of that incident, I think is incredibly powerful. And where you stand on it shouldn't be expressed this certain way. And yet we have this seemingly contradictory opinion about how emotions are to be expressed. You had some thoughts.
That's all so good. Yeah, I love that. The distinction here to me, what comes up for me is expression versus embodiment. And so expression is so incredibly important to express these emotions and to get them out, right? Because they are rising up inside us for a reason, and they need to just come out and be expressed. Not in an embodiment type of way. So if we're experiencing anger and rage, right, we can express that through a safe, healthy outlet rather than violence, for example, or hurting ourselves or harming others. So I feel like that there's a distinction there as far as expression, because that is important, rather than actually embodying that emotion and allowing it to take over your decisions and actions. Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah, it's beautiful. I love that. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to repeat that. Expression versus embodiment, right? Is the emotion becomes you, right? You become the emotion, right? But simply, as we like to say in a lot of our trauma-informed work, it's important to be with it and not in it, right?
Yes.
Very similar to what you're saying is like, I can be with the emotion, and it's important that that emotion is expressed and I can be with it. It's almost like, here's my buddy, right? Given my emotion, the noogie, like we're in this, I should say, we're with this, I'm with the emotion, but it's certainly not embodying how I express. And so, we had these conversations like, how is, for example, anger seems to be a very controversial emotion and how it's expressed. And I've often said this, and I still say this, that anger is just as welcome of an emotion as pleasure, as joy, as all of these other the happiness, laughing, all of these different emotions. It's just as welcome. How do you express it in a way that is with it and not embodying it? Thoughts on that? Or I can.
Yes.
Yes, please.
You set me up perfectly. This is
I
where I
did.
wanted.
Oh,
This is Here's
here's the
where I wanted
fastball,
to go.
Ben.
Oh,
Here's
thank
the
you.
fastball. Or do you want a
Nice,
curveball?
nice baseball reference in lieu of tomorrow's opening day
Thank you.
extravaganza. Okay, so as far as like healthy ways to express anger specifically, or emotions of that similar caliber, writing is really, really, really healing and can be incredibly powerful to just dump it all out. Use swear words, use whatever you need to use, whatever is living inside of you, vocabulary wise, just dump it out. And this doesn't have to go anywhere. This is just you and a conversation that you're having in this paper, and just like letting it flow out of you. That is incredibly healing. And I would allow yourself to just bleed all of it out, and stay with that as long as you need to, as long as you are feeling those emotions until they can begin to dissipate. And then the next time it comes up again, then you can repeat. But also like healing conversations, co-regulation. So being with people that feel supportive and validating and understanding of who you are, and provide a healthy atmosphere for you to express yourself. Co-regulation and connection with others in that sense is also incredibly healing. Talk therapy is safe and healing if you're with a great practitioner. And then of course, like deep dive into the coaching, trauma-informed coaching world, which is what we offer here at Daring Deeply, and support you in this safe expression of emotion too.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think for me, what I heard out of that was safe and secure environments, right, in which to feel like I can express it. So on the flip side of that, so often when anger comes up, we have been told that we are out of control. We are told that is a wrong emotion, that we shouldn't be angry. Calm down, right? Which,
Mhm.
as we know, saying calm down to somebody, yeah, usually exasperates the issue, right? And by the way, all the masculine out there, right? All my fellow cisgender masculine men out there, note to self: avoid saying calm down to your partner. it doesn't work, and vice versa. But that usually exasperates. And so, yes, a safe and secure space in which to express all emotion is so super important. Something else that came up as you were speaking, Paige, is it can be a powerful exercise to admit and confess verbally that you're angry. What I have found in doing that, and I'm by no means perfect, but what I have found is when I am expressing, for example, I have said this to you in our conversations, in our conflict, I am so angry with you, Paige, right? Is I am so angry with you. I am expressing the anger. And every single time that I've done that, it has brought a level of regulation to me. It brings me down a notch or 2 notches or 3 notches. So simply expressing and acknowledging the emotion can bring up so much de-escalation from a rageful or angry position. And it sounds funny, when we practice that, I am so angry at you, right? But just like anything else in which we teach and coach here at Daring Deeply, practice, practice, practice. The reps are so important. And so the next time that you feel angry is to say, I am angry. I am
Yeah.
angry.
Just
I am
name
angry.
it.
Just name it to claim it, as they, we often hear. Yeah, I think the main point here during this conversation, what brought it up, is the ability to be, and I would love to hear your take on this too, Paige, the ability to be with it in your body. It is a very powerful indicator that you are in your body when you can express the emotion in which you want to express. And naturally having those neural pathways connect and say, I'm crying because I'm feeling this. It's joy filled, it's gratitude, it's a connection, it's an empathetic. And that's what I was expressing last night, is I'm feeling one in some sense with these individuals who have just found out that they have been progressed and moved along in the process of the American Idol show. Is they've made it, they were chosen. Oh my gosh, what a powerful moment. And I love sharing that with them from afar, and I know how good it feels to be loved and to be accepted, and to really tap into that and go, this is why I'm crying. These are why the tears come up, or the joy, or the exasperation, or when I'm watching a football game and I feel excited about something that just happened. To know that emotion is absolutely okay and it's real, and to allow it to get there. So the more that we're in tune with who we are, right? We often say, oh my gosh, those emotions are trapped. I don't know what to do. I don't know. And we both have experience with that, is the blockages, the trauma, the original incidences in which we talk about. They are linked to the idea that if we do allow those emotional expressions to come forth, that we will no longer be safe, which is the exact opposite of what that expression of emotion is there to do, is to allow us to feel, right? But too often we have expressed that emotion, perhaps in the past, and we were told, or it was communicated to us, that it wasn't welcome. Thoughts?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Emotions are such a sensory experience. And that is our opportunity to lean into the body and to just kind of notice what is going on, right? The feelings of entrapment, or where the emotions feel trapped or feelings get trapped, is simply because we're not acknowledging what's happening. And there's a lot of different layers that we might experience with even one particular emotion. And so first, you're right, like acknowledging it, naming it, but then now, like, let's see like what it feels like, and start to spend a little time questing for a little more information in that way. And so Like, what do you feel and where do you feel it? Do you feel maybe your breath start to quicken? Do you feel it in your chest? Do you feel a burning in your belly? Do you feel tension in your shoulders or your neck? Or perhaps you feel like little flutters in your heart. Maybe you're feeling like excitement. Maybe the excitement is just beginning to build like from the torso all the way up to the face. And then that's where like a smile begins to happen. Depending on what emotion you experience will come with a completely different and unique sensory experience for you to lean into and begin to just explore. And then that is ultimately how the emotion can start to be processed and then released and experienced and embodied um, in the way that it's meant to be experienced.
Yeah. That just brought to mind, beautiful. That was amazing. Oh my gosh. So good. And how it's certainly related to the embodiment, right? The way that we experience life from a sensory standpoint and from our own bodies. Again, with it, knowing our bodies so well is so important. And that it supersedes mindfulness, right? We've talked about this. I love your research when it comes to, okay, biologically, what systems are formed first in utero. Is the nervous system is developed first before the brain, right? And before the head. And so often we get entrapped in this idea that it's mindfulness, change your mind, change your emotions, that type of thing. But really it's about embodying the true emotions and moving forward. And that's leading you to healing. The thing that came to mind as you were speaking too is there's a reason why, like, tomorrow we will be ensconced with potentially 40,000 other people who are expressing the same emotion at a baseball game, and how incredibly powerful that can be. And it goes to this element of co-regulation, right? Of co-regulating with others who are experiencing the same or similar emotions can be incredibly powerful and healing. So when tears are flowing in a moment, right, with friends or family, or what, tears of joy or tears of sorrow, or expressions of pleasure and entertainment and joy and raw and all of that is certainly exaggerated. It feels so good to our nervous system to connect co-regulation. That's why, and it's happened so many times, you and I have looked at each other with both tears in our eyes for whatever reason, whether joy or pain, or, oh my gosh, we're connecting, or we've experienced something on television, or we've experienced something in one of our coaching groups, or whatever, maybe at a retreat, when we're here and someone is emoting a powerful expression of emotion, we both look at each other from across the room and we share in that co-regulation and understand, when we have that experience with that sensory expression, it brings the world closer, right? And that's why, for example, it just came to mind here in this country, in the United States, when 9/11 occurred, right? We had this collective co-regulating expression of sorrow and anger and depression and, oh my gosh, and violation and all of those things. And what did it do to our country? It brought us together, right? It sealed us in this beautiful sensory emotion. And even though it came from a tragic episode, it certainly brought us together because we experienced the same, and so many of us expressed the same emotion, and it connected us together.
So healing. So healing.
So healing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it almost makes it safe to be human, because the human experience is to experience any and all emotions that fall on the spectrum. And so it almost takes away some of our liberties as a human being to say you aren't allowed to express in, X, Y, and Z ways, or all of these ways, but these emotions are okay, but those ones are not okay. You're going to need anger management if you express anger or rage, something like that, or crying, right? I would cry or express tears growing up as a kiddo, and was told to just stop crying and dust it off and rub it off and stop being a baby. And so it's like, okay, well, wait, some emotions I can express, other emotions I can express. So where's the playbook? Where's the rule book here? And who came up with this? And stifling and I don't know, limiting us in our full expression of emotions. And that full spectrum is so detrimental to our health and well-being.
Detrimental to our humanity, to your point.
Yes.
It's like we are designed, and this is what I want to say, because I want to bring this conversation to a pause or a closure, right? As we say, conversations are never completed. We just put a pause on it. I just lost my train of thought. There I went. We were discussing who created this rule book, right? And here's what I want to leave with everyone here. So those of you that are listening, watching, this is what I want to leave you with. Perhaps it's a rule book that is created by you, a new rule book. And if you need somebody to blame Daring Deeply, blame David Lee and Paige Stuart, with knowing that the rule book is to express everything. Everything is expressible. Everything is okay. Everything leads us to the healing and the wholeness of our humanity. So that's what I want to say is like, hey, maybe we can create the rule book. Maybe we can create a new rule book. I'm in for that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Any final thoughts, sweetie, before we jump off here?
This has been a really powerful conversation, and I feel like you and I could just stay on here for hours, because I want to get further into expressing other specific emotions, like expressing like pain and pleasure and joy, and that will certainly be a conversation for another time.
I think it will be, for sure. Yeah, because we ain't going nowhere. That's for sure. So thank you, Paige, and thanks for wow, another powerful conversation. And as I always like to end these conversations, if those of you that are interested in knowing more about how we serve and support our clients here at Daring Deeply in really moving through topics like this, like really understanding the expression of emotion and how that leads to healing from past pain and trauma, we could be found all over the place, all over the socials and our website. And we're more than happy to have a conversation to see if it would be a good fit to work together. So that's our invitation to you. And thank you so much for listening and watching wherever you may be. And we'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.